Good morning and good afternoon, depending on wherever you at. The time this recording. This is episode 125 of the Restricted Zone podcast, also known as DRZP on YouTube. If you search us by that, yeah, it's definitely been a while, but we're back. A lot of football topics to come with a lot of football today, even though it's preseason. The official season starts September 7th. I believe the Jets play the Chiefs. I think that's what starts it off. Am I right, Kendrick? Yeah. So with that being said, even though it's preseason right now, if you're a football fan, you're probably watching it right now. But if you do, take some time out the day to take a listen to us, and while we go ahead and dive right into the episode, man, Kendrick, how are you doing? Introduce yourself to the people, man. Kendrick, I think you're muted. You're definitely muted because I thought it was my AirPods. Wow, I thought it was my AirPods.
Listen. I'm already starting off bad. This is crazy. It's already. I'm supposed to be the smartest man on the podcast, and I can't even unmute my mic. This is already bad. But back to what I was saying. Back to what I was saying. It's the smartest man on the podcast, and I had to get a fresh lineup for this. You see this, right? You see, my barber got his own personal protractor with his clippers. I swear to God.
Nah. He's a different guy. I will say that because it's super sharp, man. It's super sharp. Greg, introduce yourself to the people, man. Introduce yourself to the fans out there.
Yeah. It is. I don't know. I'm a man of many names. I could say the man of the hour, too sweet to be sour. I could say I'm the man that's just be shaking and baking and Philly cheesesteaking every chance I get.
Yes, sir.
Let's just stick with those two for right now. We can keep it going.
Wait, I got one more. I got one more guest that wants to say hello.
Oh man, bring
you know
out
the regular.
Guest, man.
It's the dog. It's the dog. She wants to say hello.
Gotta bring out the guest, man. Gotta bring out the guest. Listen, man. He got his own little predictions too. I don't know. Did he make any predictions in the last episode, Kendrick?
Nah. She just wanted to say hi. That's all.
Yeah,
okay.
She brings a new definition to the word restricted. So make sure she's away from the phone.
Yes, indeed. With that being said, we dive right into episode 125. Like I said, preseason right now, even a couple of games. I think the Eagles are playing right now. I forgot who they're actually playing right now. With the Browns.
They're playing the Browns.
The Browns. Okay, I was right. So they're playing the Browns right now. So, a lot of games are being played right now, but we're going to bring it back. And we're going to talk about some of the teams that are entering this season. Well, of course, if you're a fan of football, you have a particular fan of a team, you probably think, hey, my team probably has a shot to do something amazing this year. What aspirations, whether, Super Bowl or, hey, making the playoffs or just seeing some progress if you're just in the bottom. But I definitely want to throw this out because every single year we got teams that people put a lot of expectations on and they believe they are the best of the best, the cream of the crop. And frankly, that's just not true. So, but you know what? I want to start with Kendrick, and I want to swing it to him further before I swing to Gang. I mean, listen, man. Give me a list of your 3 to 5 teams who you think has been getting highly put on the pedestal. Look, he's got some. Listen, he's got something he want to say, man. I think he's got his picks, man. He's got his picks. Listen, as long as it's not the Eagles included in that list, I don't really care. But go ahead, Kendrick. Give me at least 3 to 5 teams you think has been hyped up in the preseason over the summer, probably a little bit into the offseason as well, and you just don't think they can really meet their expectations.
So listen, I'll be honest with you. It's really tough for me to answer this question because I don't really see a lot of teams that are technically overrated for real. But I mean, if I had to pick a team that I feel like that people have a very high expectation for that is going to have a drastic downfall if they don't meet it, one is the Jets. You went out and got Aaron Rodgers. You got that means you got to win right now. You put in your number 2 pick of a few years ago but as a second string and putting all your money in Aaron Rodgers. But I mean, in retrospect, there is a long-term thing to it as well, dealing with that. Zach Wilson can learn from Aaron Rodgers. He can learn a lot. He can become better. So in the long, it's a win right now, but it's also a win for the future if he can develop better with Aaron Rodgers as his mentor, basically.
Yes.
So I feel like, and like, the Jets defense is there. It really just solely depends on how that team comes together with Aaron Rodgers at the helm, and see if they can get to the playoffs or even make it to a conference championship, aka or the Super Bowl. You feel me? Another team that I think has very high expectations to do a lot of things is the Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins, it's like Miami Dolphins was good when Tua was playing. But if Tua's not playing, then it's really tough. It's really tough. So if he can stay healthy, they have some high expectations. Or they might be in the same boat they are in last year if they aren't careful, especially with Tua's health.
Of course.
Let's see. Are we looking at any teams from the NFC? I don't want to say the Cowboys is overrated because, Cowboys on Cowboys. You feel me? I feel like until they really show me otherwise, the Cowboys going Cowboys until the day the Cowboys stop Cowboys. You feel me? So
Cowboys stop Cowboys.
So I feel like if I had to give the three teams, I'm definitely going to do Jets, Dolphins, and by default, got to do the Cowboys because every year is their year.
Okay, so I do want to. So I think it's a solid list. I can't complain. Before I swing it to you, Greg. So in terms of Aaron Rodgers, in terms of him going to the Jets, what's your personal expectations for the Jets? More so, what do you think Aaron Rodgers can
Super Bowl
accomplish? Wow,
that's it. What else is there? Anything below that is a fail to me.
Yeah, the Jets Super Bowl. Okay, nah.
It's with Aaron Rodgers. You got to think of who. I'm not saying that, but I'm not saying that just because. I'm saying that because it's literally they went and got Aaron Rodgers. They literally went and traded for Aaron Rodgers and gave up whatever trade compensation they had to get him. And with him even taking a pay cut, he's looking to win. He wants to win a Super Bowl. So. So I feel like that's their goal. That's the thing. It got to be Super Bowl or bust. That's literally it.
You know what? Because the Jets have such a long-standing reputation. I have been ignoring some of the moves they had been making. Yeah, Aaron Rodgers did take a pay cut. You definitely pointed that out. That's definitely a reminder for me. Aaron Rodgers with the Jets in the Super Bowl. I don't know. You don't never count on a guy like Aaron Rodgers, though. I think your buddy here has some disagreements with you. I think he wants to say something. But I feel like he doesn't like that Jets statement. He doesn't like it at all. Greg.
No, not a fan.
Not a fan at all. Well, Greg, I definitely want to swing it to you, but in terms of Kendrick's answer about the Jets, before I swing the question to you, do you think the Jets are a Super Bowl team? Kendrick said it's really Super Bowl or bust. Is that it for them?
That's what the expectation is going to be. You don't have a defense like that, and you don't start off 6-2, 6-3 last year without the expectation, and recognize that you finished the year 7-9, and recognize that if the statement all they're missing is a quarterback away, and then you get said quarterback, that the franchise's expectation isn't a Super Bowl. They also gave Quentin Williams a lot of money. They've invested in Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers took a pay cut. If you watch Hard Knocks, solid. I would say that the Jets have the deepest running back room in the league with Breece Hall and Dalvin Cook leading the way. And then they also had two $10 million wide receivers. And they also have the offensive and defensive rookies of the year from last year and an All-Pro. And one of the defensive player of the year was an All-Pro in Sauce Gardner. And then they also had another All-Pro in Quentin Williams. So the defense is rock solid, and offensively they have the skill position wise, they have the talent to kind of just go out and execute and do well this year. The biggest thing, and as you watch Hard Knocks, everyone's been talking about it. Salah's message to the team was that they have all these different things, but if they don't get the play up front, none of that stuff is gonna matter. Mekhi Becton's coming back from injury. A lot of the other offensive linemen, they've kind of had suspect play so far this year. But I do think that like um if the I do think if they shore up their offensive line, they'll be in a good spot come the rest of the season. And honestly, I think the starters day one on the offensive line aren't necessarily the offensive linemen that have been shown in practice and shown in preseason games thus far. Some of them are coming back from injury. Some of them are just like they're holding them out to kind of preserve them for
Of
the
course.
regular season. So the day one
Good point.
starters, I think once everyone is healthy, I think if they play up to their potential, they can be a solid like offensive line. They can have a solid offensive line for the team, barring any injury. So we'll see.
No, you pointed out they do have two. They have two $10 million receivers, and you made out some definitely some key points about the Jets. I'm definitely a little bit more optimistic about them. Still not sure about the Super Bowl, but definitely look favorably upon them though. But that, Greg, but I'm gonna swing the question to you. So Kendrick gave at least three of the teams that feel like, in his opinion, it was not necessarily Kendrick. You didn't say they were overrated, but what was the term you wanted to use?
More so, they have the highest expectations.
The highest expectations. So with that being said, Kendrick, what do you think? Let's rephrase that. What do you think? Give me your 3 to 5 teams who you think has the most highest expectations in terms of reaching the ultimate goal. And do you feel like maybe
I think
those
there's a lot of
expectations are a little bit unwarranted?
yeah. For me, I think like I'm thinking of teams in the NFC East. Like for instance, like um, I think there's a lot of people talking about the Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah,
And like I think Geno Smith had a really good season last year. They got really good wide receivers. They got Jackson Smith and Jigba, I believe his name is.
yes.
Um, you know, um, they got Tyler Lockett already. And I'm blanking
Can't
on the
wait to
other
see.
brother's name.
Uh,
What's the big boy?
Overrated DK Metcalf.
Yeah, and they got right overrated DK Metcalf. So
wow.
they got three wide receivers. They got Kenneth Walker, who was a stud last year. Shout out to my fantasy team. And they got they brought back the defensive leader in Bobby Wagner to lead that defense. They got people coming back from injury. I'm that like really were stalwarts, and they had a top five cornerback that they drafted in the draft. So I think they have the potential, but I think that Seattle Seahawks team, in terms of offensively, they were dropping about um they were dropping a lot of points last year because they needed to in order to keep up with their defense because that defense was sorry. And some of the changes that they made at the defensive front will be beneficial to their development. But we're also banking on Geno Smith, who went 30 touchdowns, 11 interceptions last year. For a
Man,
dude that
Chris
was a
hates.
journey, for a dude that was a journeyman quarterback, I think realistically, I'm expecting more so of a regression because now there's some tape out on the offense, and no one was expecting Geno to do that. So I
Yeah.
think if he can continue to shine and be a top 10 quarterback year two as he was kind of in year one leading the offense, then yes, they can reach their potential. But I
Okay.
think that's a lot of ifs, and I don't necessarily think that a brother that was drafted, I believe in the
2010, I
2013.
think 2013, yeah,
I
2013.
want to say 2013 draft for him to be going that far, and this is the like now he's all of a sudden figured it out. Like kind of feels suspect. So I'm expecting a little bit of a regression. I think the Detroit Lions. There's a lot of expectations on the Detroit Lions this year. For me personally, I think it's too much. Like,
Mhm.
I don't see them winning the division. I think that the Vikings realistically will repeat as champions. I even have a better, weirdly enough, I have a little bit more. I think because the Packers are flying under the radar, I think that they could potentially do a
You would,
do, uh,
okay.
do finish better than a lot of people are expecting. So I wouldn't even be surprised if they finish better than the Lions. I got nothing about against Jared Goff. I just feel like the Lions while everyone's super high on like how they finished last year, there's been a lot of things swept under the radar in terms of like there were a couple players that were caught like the whole gambling incident, like and betting. So like a couple of their players were suspended or suspended for the year. Now some of them were major contributors, some of them weren't on the defensive front, but that's something to keep in mind. Jamison Williams is suspended for the first 6 games of the season because of performance enhancing drugs, and he just got hurt.
No, he was
in
gambling.
practice. Oh, he was gambling too. All right, my fault. And you know he also just got hurt in practice the other day with a leg injury. So he's gonna be out for a while. I think they got rid of DeAndre Swift last year.
They did.
And they're taking a chance on that running back that they took out of Alabama.
And
who's to know that no, he was a first round pick. And who's to say that like a lot of people thought that they overreached with that draft pick. I think that there is a lot to be hopeful for based off of last year, but I'm not banking on the fact that the Detroit Lions have expectations going into the year. Like I don't remember the last time that happened, but like typically when that happens, good things don't come. So I need everyone to relax on that. Kendrick had mentioned the Miami Dolphins. I was also going to say that I think outside of Tua being hurt last year, I would say relatively a lot of the roster were able to stay healthy, especially the key skills position players. Like I know that specifically Tyreek Hill, and I think Tyreek Hill is getting closer to 30, which a lot of people aren't talking about. And like I feel like post 30, a speed receiver typically doesn't necessarily have that same burst. So I'm curious to see whether Tyreek Hill can stay healthy this year. I think the defense, honestly, I know that they improved their defense and they have a new defensive coordinator. But I am curious to see like how they're able to progress. I thought they were more of a middle of the pack defense last year. So like I think for them to realistically have to low expectations, they need to be a top 10 defense. And I just don't know if you're gonna get that. So we'll see how that goes. My last team is the Cleveland Browns. Just because, like, all the reports coming from camp is that Deshaun Watson hasn't necessarily looked the most stellar to start training camp. You're banking on a running back who's 28 years old and counting to kind of like lead the rushing attack. So I think that's interesting. They have a revamped defense, clearly with Myles Garrett still at the forefront, leading the way. But I am kind of concerned for them at their cornerback spots. They did get the Darius Smith from the Green Bay Packers and the formerly of the Green Bay Packers and of the Vikings, and he's a pretty good player. So we'll see how that goes. But everything's gonna come through Deshaun Watson, and I just don't necessarily know what Deshaun Watson we're gonna get because realistically we're banking him to return back to form in that form of 2020.
Deshaun Watson definitely is someone to look out for. Definitely, I forgot about him. I can't believe.
So that's my 5.
All right, that's fair. All solid points. Kendrick, do you some of the teams that he chose, do you feel like it's nay, or you feel like no, he's pretty fair on some of them?
Hold on. Give me 1 second. I gotta look something up real quick. So Deshaun Watson's last season was with the Texans.
Yes.
Was
2020.
Hold on. Was it really? I thought it was
That's
2021. Oh, okay. So it was 2020. I feel like granted, I feel like I can understand the Lions. I can for sure understand the Lions because honestly, I feel like there is a lot of hype going into them, and they are trying to bank on a young running back. But that young running back has been showing that he's going to be a versatile unit, a versatile player. But they are lacking with not having Jameson Williams because I feel like Jameson Williams' highest point he can be is a Deshaun Jackson. I mean, he has the speed to do those things, but I just feel like that is his ceiling. I could be wrong, but I can understand that, and I feel like with the Browns, I mean, there's nothing wrong with having a 20-year-old running back because I mean, Dalvin Cook was around that same age. You saw what he did. Then Derrick Henry up in age and he's still putting up numbers. So I feel like these things are still you can still manage around these ages because there's people we can pinpoint a couple people that are up in age that have dominated last year.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, we call these the exception, not the standard. Derrick Henry.
But Nick Chubb is the exception as well. He's proven that he's the exception by his numbers and his workload. So I feel like he got to be included in there as well. He's not the standard for sure. He's nowhere near. He's above the standard. So I feel like you got to include him in that exception. Also, I can't not yet turn my back on Deshaun Watson and his ability to play because let's look at it. Let's be for real. He didn't play one whole year. That takes a toll. Then he came back and he played 6-7 games. Like you want him to, he missed the first 11 games, and then you expect him just to get thrown right back in and be like. Honestly, I didn't really expect a lot from him. I really see him taking the step where he had where he led the league in passing yards. I see him doing that again because he has Amari Cooper, Peoples-Jones, and he has another receiver. I feel like he got.
Yeah, he got it from the Jets. I'm blanking on the brother's name, but they gave the Jets a second round pick for
Elijah Moore. That's who it was.
Moore. Yes.
And I feel like, he's getting weapons, and he's going to show that, hey, I'm still Deshaun Watson of the Texans 2020. It's just now he's had a full training camp. He's been able to go through preseason and be able to hop right back in and actually start a season and show that he's still. I feel like I still have a strong hope. So I'm going to stay with.
Fair. Which is fair, but I'd also make the argument that he's also playing in the toughest division in the league right now. In terms of he has 6 out of the 17 games that he has 6 games against the Pittsburgh Steelers, who always find a way to be above 500, against a revamped offense in the Baltimore Ravens, and the one of the 2 teams that made it to the AFC Championship game last year in the Cincinnati Bengals. So he has 6 games that are already gauntlets. And so we already know that those 6 games are pick'em games. He could easily go 0-6, 3-3, or maybe even 6-0. But those games aren't a guarantee. And if you're telling me whether I'm gonna pick the Browns teams against any of those other 3 teams, I have the Browns team. Against each of those 3 teams, I have a Browns team as the underdog. So I don't necessarily.
Even with the Steelers.
With the Steelers, with TJ Watt leading that defense, like that defense is dangerous. That defense is a top 5 defense with TJ Watt on the field, and you're giving Kenny Pickett and George Pickens, who are coming into their second years, they're not gonna fail. They're only gonna get better.
I mean,
so
yeah, you say that, but then you can also say with the Browns, I mean, you got Denzel Ward. If he stays healthy, Denzel Ward's a top 5 corner.
No, I understand that, but I've seen the Browns have good cornerback play, but also like suspect defenses. You know what I mean? Joe Hayden was a stalwart at the quarterback position for the Cleveland Browns for years. Made Pro Bowls, made All Pros. Those Browns teams was ass on defense. Sorry, but was ass on defense too. You know what I mean? So it's like, I hear you, but I'm going like you telling me to.
But did Joe Hayden ever had a combo though?
What you mean?
Like, did Joe Hayden have a Myles Garrett on the D line that Denzel Ward had? Because I feel like those two play so well together. Like even just like using the Eagles as an example, our corners are good corners. Don't get me wrong; they went All Pro. They're good corners. They're good to great corners. But I mean, they go from great to amazing just because of having a solid front line that's disrupting the quarterback all the time. So, I mean, you got Joe Hayden by himself, but then during those times, but who was on the front line helping him out? You know, I feel like that's why, Steelers always going to have that top defense. You got a front line that, with TJ Watt at the front, that's dangerous because, listen, the defense is won in the trenches. That's how you establish having a dominant defense, like with the Jets and with all of them. How they got, even with the Giants have potential to even have a top 10 defense because they have a dangerous front line that can get to the quarterback and disrupt things, and that's what causes your linebackers and your cornerbacks and your DBs to look better than what they actually are.
I'm not. Yeah, I mean, I'm not debating on that, but I don't know. I have never believed in the Cleveland Browns have made the playoff once in the past 20 seasons, and I'm not banking on. And based off of what I've been hearing from training camp so far, and I get it, it's training camp, and based off of historically what the Cleveland Browns defense has been, I'm not banking on the Browns defense being the difference maker at the end of the day. I think Miles Garrett gonna get his numbers. He's gonna have a solid season. Like I think Denzel Ward, if he stays healthy, is gonna have a solid season. But it's gonna come down to Deshaun Watson, his ability to make plays. And I am just saying that it's been some time since I've seen Deshaun Watson do that. It's been 3 seasons. So it's fair enough for me to have skepticism that, and when last seen him playing, I forget what his numbers were, but I think he was like 7 touchdowns, 5 interceptions last year. So I don't want to doubt the brother, but he has a lot of expectations. He was given a lot of money. And honestly, there are a lot of people that are honestly rooting for him to fail. And sometimes that pressure can be a lot to take on any man. You could talk about that 2020 season all you want, but he was playing with house money at the end of the day. That Texans team was sorry. They just had let go of DeAndre Hopkins. They had traded him to the Cardinals.
The Cardinals, yeah.
There wasn't a lot of expectations in that Texans team, and Deshaun Watson balled out regardless. But when you don't have a lot of expectations, it's a lot easier versus the weight of a franchise being on your shoulders with all that money you were given and all the scrutiny that he's had along the way. That's a lot of pressure for any man to deal with, let alone Deshaun Watson with some of the things that he's been dealing with. So, yeah, I'm not banking on the brother just being like 35 touchdowns, 6 interception board, and I need to see it.
Okay. And great. That was a great point talking about training camp because that really gives us a great segue to the next topic of this episode. And man, it's a good thing in training camp. Listen, Kendrick, I'm going to swing it to you. Training camp. So should it be something that should worry you? Say for instance, let's say if one side of the ball is more dominant than the other. Like, should you worry about the other side making plays or complimenting the other side for making the plays? In your opinion, what do you think?
In my opinion, honestly, I don't really. The only thing I really pay attention to with training camp is see if injuries happen. Because because like it's always bound to happen. People have season-ending injuries during training camp, and you're like, damn, you're missing out on him. That's a key player. But am I gonna really take stock into my offense beating my defense or my defense beating my offense? I gotta be honest, no, because at the end of the day, if my offense is beating my defense, I gotta be like, and especially like the defense, a defensive team has like, okay, I gotta use like examples. I would say like for the Eagles, if I see Jalen Hurts cooking the Eagles defense, I'm not going to be mad. I'm not going to be bad and being like, oh, our defense is sorry. Oh, our defense ain't really, I can't trust them. Because at the end of the day, Jalen Hurts has shown that he's a great quarterback and can make those plays. So he's cooking our defense and our skill players are cooking our other players. At the end of the day, it's going to happen. There's also going to be days where Jalen Hurts could throw 3 picks on our defense. Our defense is locking down everybody. Am I going to be worried about that? No. Like it's like I'd be more concerned if I didn't feel confident in both sides of the ball. You understand? It's like what's a team? Okay. For example, I'd be scared out of my mind if I'm sitting there, if I'm a Cardinals fan and I'm hearing we got whoever their quarterback is and whatever offensive, what their entire offense is cooking their defense without Kyler Murray. I'm looking at my defense and being like, they're suspect. They're suspect because I'm expecting that defense to have to do a lot just for them to even be able to win any game. So there's like, it just.
Wait, hold on, Greg. What is it? Hold on, Greg.
What'd you say, Greg?
I said, ain't no expectation with the Cardinals.
Look, but no, but like
Kyler Murray coming back a week 11. Who name a starter on the
Wow.
defense besides Buda Baker? And you know what I mean? Like,
the
I'll wait.
cornerback, the cornerback, number 7, Humphreys. I'm pretty sure that's his name because he was a top pick. So there go another one. Yeah, you said name another one. That's all I got for you. But I named one. I named one other one.
No, you got it. No, you got it.
That's all I
Yeah,
got.
took a couple Mississippi's, but you got there.
Hey, listen, I know his number. I know his last name. I can't think of his first name. And he went to, I think, the University of Washington, I'm pretty sure. So I know a couple things about him.
I thought Marlon Humphreys was the boy that played for the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, again, I got the first name wrong. That's why I was like, I know his last name has got to be somewhere around there. Now I got to look it up. Hold on.
I ain't mean to blow your spot up. I'm just saying. Like,
No.
Ain't nobody got no expectation for Cardinals.
Wow.
And they head coach sorry.
Oh,
that's
yeah,
from a Philadelphia Eagles fan. He's sorry. He's sorry
for sure. I ain't even want to get into that. I'm gonna let him rock. You know what? I can't find the roster right now. I'm gonna circle back to that. But at the end of the day, for the training camp, I'm not gonna hold much weight into it because if we have a top 10 defense and a top 10 offense. If they're like it's also the same thing with the Jets. Am I going to be mad that Aaron Rodgers is cooking the Jets defense with all the star player with the high caliber defense they got? No. Why? Because these are high profile people with talent that are going to perform. It's bound to happen that our offense is going to cook our defense, or if our defense cooks our offense. If they're both top 10, it's to be expected, and I expect that to happen.
Okay.
So no, I don't really pay. I ain't going to hold too much stock into one side of the ball cooking another when they're both top 10.
Okay, Kendrick, that's your answer. Greg, I just gotta swing it to you, man. I mean, do you agree with Kendrick's perspective? And if not, just put your 2 cents on the question. Would you put too much stock to it?
My stock is on the regular season.
Browns,
if you're good for them, small victory. Browns. I think that if I hold the greatest stock in what you do in the regular season, all this practice stuff don't matter. If you performed in the regular season, if you're Peyton Manning and I hear Peyton Manning throwing 3 interceptions in the practice in practice, practice is where you're supposed to take risks, take chances, implement new play calls, try new things, see if you can fit the ball in tight windows, what you can and can't do. So for veterans that I feel like have proven that they're consistent, I'm not reading too much into it. Now, if you've been shaky or if you had an individual season years past that's been shaky, hearing that you're not necessarily performing well in practice is alarming. So some of the names that we've heard that have been struggling in terms of quarterback play, I've heard nothing but rave reviews from Jalen Hurts about in these practices. Some of the dimes he's been making, some of the plays he's been able to make, people have been raving. Now they haven't been raving about the boy Dak Prescott. That brother is sorry. Throwing interceptions. You got Trayvon Diggs talking smack, calling him a B word, calling him, you know what I'm saying? Doing all that stuff. If you really that boy, you gonna set the defense up with your play, right?
Yeah,
you throwing suspect interceptions. I'm hearing things about Deshaun Watson. I'm hearing things that the 5th round pick, Dorian Smith Roberts or whatever, the dude from UCLA, is outplaying Deshaun Watson in practice compared to what he's doing. I'm hearing that the boy you hear that Trey Lance has been struggling in the practices, and then you see how he performed in the preseason game. And I'm also hearing Brock Purdy has been struggling coming back from his shoulder surgery. You know what I mean? So someone like Brock Purdy, he had success last year, but he also had that UCL injury. And he hasn't had a full off season as a full-time starter to really implement and get better to get refined. So we're just banking on Brock Purdy being the exact same person that he ended his 2022 campaign being. But like when you are rehabbing instead of being able to work on your game, and now you're the presumed first-time starter, everyone's expecting him to pick up where he left off, and then that may not necessarily be the case. So something to keep in mind. But like, I think if you're a veteran, like if I'm hearing that like Aaron Rodgers, because I heard Aaron Rodgers had 7 straight incompletions in practice the other day. Am I sweating Aaron Rodgers having 7 straight incompletions in practice? No, because
Like
it's Aaron
Kendrick said,
Rodgers.
whoa.
If am I sweating Aaron Rodgers having 7 straight incompletions in practice? No, I'm not. But like if you're Dak Prescott and you're supposed to be having something to prove, and everything I'm hearing from camp is the defense talking mad smack to you, you keep throwing interceptions. Yeah, I'm looking at you. I'm looking at you sideways, because everybody knows that at the end of the day, like there's going to be narratives going into the season, and for the Cowboys, the narrative is that Dak Prescott needs to be the one that helps them win games because the defense is going to keep them in games. So it's going to come down to Dak Prescott being able to make plays. And when you're throwing interceptions, yes, it's an elite defense. But if you can make plays against that defense, then you should like your chances in that Cowboys offense against any defense. But the fact that he's struggling is a concern that like needs to be kept in mind. So it depends on the player and it depends on the team. If you sorry, you've been sorry, you acting sorry, or you have improving yourself, yeah, I'm looking at practice. I'm giving you the side eye. If you
The
have regular
side
season
eye.
success, if you have regular season success, like all right, like I'm not gonna hold it against you. But if you start doing that during the regular season, that's when I'm gonna give you the side eye. You earn everything's earned in the NFL, and the currency only lasts a season at best.
Mhm.
If you don't have 2 full seasons of proving yourself, you need to earn that for a second time in a row. That's the way it goes.
That's fair. Okay, Greg. Interesting perspective for that particular question. Kendrick, before I introduce the new host, so you got anything you want to say?
I will say this: every time I go on Twitter, I see Dak Prescott throwing an interception. That's all I'm saying.
Just
I be
throwing it.
feeling bad. Like I be
Oh
honestly, I
man.
started feeling bad for him because I'm like, bro, ain't no way this is the only highlight y'all got of this man is him throwing picks. It gotta be one time somebody caught a touchdown that he completed a
Yeah,
Bro,
I
pass.
mean, listen,
bro.
It's
At the
like
end of the
Greg
killing
day,
me.
said,
bro.
Greg,
At the end of
listen,
the
we
day,
just
go ahead, bro. I was gonna say at the end of the day,
uh,
At the end of the day, the brother played 12 games last year and was
mm.
tied for the league lead in interceptions. How, Sway?
Ooh.
How, Sway? Anyway, I digress.
All right, wait.
Not my
I was
quarterback.
not your court. Wait, all right. We're gonna stick on the topic. I want to swing it to the new host that just hopped in. Johnny, introduce yourself to the RZP crew. Middle smack in the episode. Go ahead, man.
Hello, world. Just Johnny tapping back in again, baby. Tapping back in again. Just an analyst, all right? Not an advocate, just an analyst. However, do I
uh,
hear a little bit of analyzing of Dak Prescott?
oh
Oh, no, there
yes.
ain't
Oh
nothing to
wait.
analyze. It's
And
called
thank you
booty
very
and
much.
cheeks.
Now,
Yeah.
now,
Oh, oh my
It's
thank
God.
you.
called booty and cheeks.
There you go,
Yo,
Greg.
I'm debating should I keep it in or not. I'm gonna keep it in. We gotta keep it raw and unfiltered. Listen, Johnny, I gotta
Yes,
swing it
sir.
to you. So I'm gonna swing the question to you, then we're gonna get on to the last topic of the episode.
For
So,
sure.
Johnny, let me ask you: should training camp worry you? Should you put a lot of stock into it? Let's say if one side of the ball is more dominant than the other, do you worry about it or do you compliment the other side for making plays? Training camp, do you put
Uh,
a lot of stock into it?
um, only, in my personal opinion, only when it comes down to joint practices. Joint practices is the only time you put your stock in the training camp. Any other
Okay.
time, you're complimenting the other side. You compliment the other side for being better, and you just basically coach the other side that lost on getting better. But when it comes down to joint practices, oh no, you got to hear it. They got to hear it. If you're failing, you need to let them know. Like it's definitely a problem in that essence. That would be my thing with that. Like there's a lot of like I was looking through training camp a lot throughout these past couple of weeks, and there's been a lot of battles,
Mhm.
but a lot of ones that really stood out are the ones that mattered against scrimmages and joint practices. Like when
Mm.
I forgot who the Cowboys went against this week in joint last week in joint practices, but namely when the Eagles went against the Browns, and I think the Panthers had went up. They had a joint practice, I think, a couple of weeks ago too, and they have a new opponent this week as well. But yeah, in that notion, nah, I wouldn't really, as a coach, I'm not coming at the other side. That's lacking when it comes down to going against, because iron sharpens iron in that notion. But if it comes down to joint practices, yeah, you got to give them that fire.
Greg, before we swing to the last topic of the episode, you have anything you want to say, Kendrick or Greg, in response to that, or you feel like you guys can agree with it?
I agree.
Yeah.
We can agree. All right. You guys are definitely in agreement with it, so we can't complain, can't say too much. But we're going to dive right into the last topic of the episode. We got to talk about the running backs of the league, and particularly the running back market. So, hey, speaking about running backs, Ezekiel Elliott went to the Patriots. Anyone want to give your thoughts on that before we proceed? Kendrick, Greg, Johnny, which you want to go first?
Real quick, it's kind of annoying as an Eagles fan that we went against this man twice a year and he gets out the division and we still got to play him one more time. That's ironically annoying. But at this point, I'm not. We've been not scared of Zeke because, as we all know, we've seen what those bell cow style of running does to you in the long run of your career.
I don't know.
Almost like a Derrick Henry. Almost like a Derrick Henry entering to this season, or a Nicholas Chubb.
But we know we're leaving out the exception of we can't all be Adrian Peterson. We can't all be Derrick Henry. We can't all be basically like those types of talents are coming once every how many couple of seasons?
10, 15.
But how many hits until
they not that far apart?
But how many hits until it's too much? How many hits until it's too much?
And that varies by running back to running back.
If Derrick Henry declines this year, are you shocked? Are you shocked?
No.
I actually am.
Exactly.
I'm tired, Big Ball. I'm tired.
I actually am because it's Derrick Henry. I would be because he's given us, he spoiled us with this style of running.
He hit 28. I'm not.
He's at 28.
Yeah.
I will put him in
28 is that age.
I have a small list.
Really?
I have a small personal list, right?
Huh?
Of running backs that can run over 30. Ain't too
Nick
many,
Chubb
right?
is 28
but
too.
I believe he's over that. Chubb, another one. I put him in a list. I believe that I have a small list of running backs that I believe can run past 30. And I put Derrick Henry in that list. I will put Nick Chubb in that list. It's not too many running backs I'll put in that list, but overall, for the average running back, no. Like, their long career is long spent. Hence, Ezekiel Elliott going with the Patriots. I wouldn't expect anything from him this year. Derrick Henry, yes, I'd expect a lot from him. But this
as a bell cow back, though? As a bell cow?
It varies according to running back. And in this essence, yes, because of what we've seen before and the type of person we're talking about. Like Colin said, Zeke's bell cow status it's not as impressive to me as Derrick Henry's bell cow status. I watched
Derrick Henry play last year, and without as much wide receiver talent, yes, they loaded the box on him, but at the same time, there were some differences in his game. He had some ugly outings that I hadn't seen.
In the box, what do you want him to do?
Listen, and I hear you, but at the end of the day, they just lost Treylon Burks, and he has an LCL injury that he just suffered in practice, either today or yesterday. So you're relying on DeAndre Hopkins at 31 years old with limited burst to carry an offense. So do you think they're gonna not stock the box this year? What do you think's happening?
You want to go, Kendrick? Because I had a little thing with that because I understand the concept. Yeah,
go ahead, Johnny. Go ahead, Johnny.
Okay, I'm about because I understand the concept of what you're saying, but these aren't regular players past their prime. These are beyond superstar players that are technically, I guess you can say, past their prime, because that would even drop them down to the level of above average. We're talking about a Hopkins. We're talking about a Derrick Henry had 1,500 yards last year, 13 touchdowns.
Right.
Yes, he did. Yes, he only averaged 4 yards a pop, so probably they had to give him the ball a little bit more. But at the same time, 1,500 yards and 13 touchdowns. So, like I said, Zeke going to the Patriots, bell cow status is not as impressive as what I'm expecting from Derrick Henry because of what we have seen. Same thing with DeAndre Hopkins. He missed 3 weeks of the season due to suspension, and he almost still led the season in 6. He almost still led the season, the league in receiving yards, almost. So
Ooh.
these aren't
Ooh.
average players that we're talking about. D-Hop, bro.
When? Last year?
When he came back. The year that he had when he came back, he hit the
No,
ground.
no, my brother. No, my brother. That's not fair. That's not fair. I said we talk about D-Hop. You notice how you said the year he came back versus you talking about last year?
When he came back from that suspension.
That sorry Cardinals offense. Who was Kyler gonna throw the ball to?
Yeah, you gotta force it to him.
Marquise Brown.
Well, when
DeAndre Hopkins came back, Marquise Brown and DeAndre Hopkins literally played a game together, and then he got hurt and was on injury for the rest of the season.
I get it. AJ Green should have been better too. I get it. I understand.
Adriel Jeremiah Green is like 35 plus 40. Like brothers was just
plus 40.
No, that's a person.
35 years old.
I'm surprised
Relax.
you said that. I'm surprised
that's
you
crazy.
Come up past like honestly, bro. I expect Hopkins like that's like they'll be okay. Like it depends. It varies, bro. It varies. Like I think that status, that does he still have it status varies to player. When you're talking about generational talents, I would trust certain players to still be able to have something left in the tank compared to a Zeke going to the Patriots.
Okay, that's all right. Well, hold on a second. Oh, go ahead, Kendrick. We gotta go back to the topic.
Listen, I'll circle it back to the topic. I'll circle it back.
All right.
But listen, I ain't really like Greg and that little slick comment he made about when he gave off Derrick Henry's stats and they said they went 7-9. My man put up 1,500 yards and 13 touchdowns. He did all he could. You gotta look.
What
at,
I'm saying is,
looking at the people and being like,
what I'm saying is, when
you think it's gonna burn him out?
No, what I'm saying is, yes, it's gonna burn him out. But I'm also looking at it from the standpoint of, again, he's their entire offense. He's a 27-year-old that's carrying the ball 20 plus times a game this isn't a running back by committee. This is a bell cow back. We call it Zeke a bell cow back, but he had Tony Pollard last year. Like, you know what I'm saying? He had.
Whoa. We not saying that. Only one person said it.
I'm crying. All I'm saying is when I look at Derrick Henry, they shoved Derrick Henry down defensive throats last year. Pause. But at the same time, they also that's all they could do. So for instance, if of course y'all gonna keep throwing it to the one wide receiver if he's the only wide receiver on the team. You know what I'm saying?
Now they have one. Now they have two weapons, right? Now they have a heck of a wide
31-year-old DeAndre Hopkins. 31-year-old.
Yeah,
Listen, man, I'm tired of you with the D-Hop disrespect, man. I'm getting sick of it, Greg.
I'm not.
Great. I'm trying to tell you, 31 years old receiver. I see what you're saying. A 31-year-old receiver is not attractive, but 31-year-old DeAndre Hopkins is not saying the same thing. You're saying something different, yes, bro.
No, and I'm not, and I want to be clear about what I'm saying. In order for you to have the Derrick Henry who isn't stacking the box, you need a wide receiver that is able to get separation at a better rate than at what DeAndre Hopkins was doing with the Arizona Cardinals last year. He's not taking the top off the defense to the point that they're as worried about the deep ball or as worried about him as they are about Derrick Henry. And now, if Treylon Burks was healthy, you could have a different point because I could see Treylon Burks taking the top off the defense. But at the same, meaning when I say Treylon Burks, I'm not saying that Treylon Burks is better than DeAndre Hopkins. I want to be clear. I'm saying that the combination of having a Treylon Burks with a DeAndre Hopkins makes you have to be honest as a secondary, it makes you have to be at least be respectful because I think Treylon Burks is a more down the field, a better option at this point than where DeAndre Hopkins is at his career. But the combination of the two would make you feel more like it would make you be more honest as a defense than just 31-year-old DeAndre Hopkins. I'm still stacking the box on Derrick Henry. Like, what are you talking about?
You're tripping. Look, hold on.
DeAndre Hopkins gonna have to show me. You tripping?
Hold on. Okay.
DeAndre Hopkins gonna have to show me.
Hold on. Now, Greg, let me ask you this question because you said DeAndre Hopkins is not going to take the top off the defense. When in his career has he ever been known to take the top off the defense?
What do you mean? I've seen him take the top off the defense. He's like, I understand that you're saying like he hasn't necessarily had like the greatest speed in the world, but I'd make the point that his ability to get separation
he can get separation.
Yes, he was able to get separation, bro. You could say that. You could say.
You wouldn't catch it. Go ahead, Greg. Finish it off.
I'm just gonna say like, what we not gonna do is act like DeAndre Hopkins couldn't get separation. Like DeAndre Hopkins literally always could get separation. Was it the fastest moves in the world? Was it like the craziest draws? No. But he could get separation, and I'm telling you that the rate of his separation is starting to fall off to the point where it's like now he could still beat you. Don't get me wrong, but am I sweating it as I was sweating DeAndre Hopkins 2 years ago or with the Houston Texans? Nah, I'm not. I'm not gonna be snoring, but I'm not gonna be. If I'm the defensive coordinator,
you're not taking him a single primary focus.
I'm taking my chances on single coverage. I'm not doubling up DeAndre Hopkins at this point in his career. I'm stacking the box on Derrick Henry.
You just ignoring his catch rating.
And Aaron, hold on. And then what we have to also acknowledge is who's throwing DeAndre Hopkins the football. Ryan Tannehill? Yeah, I'm cool. I'm not sleeping.
Put it in the area, bro.
First
Put
of
it in
all,
the area.
it doesn't matter. First of all, the one thing, if DeAndre Hopkins has made a name off anything, it's making other quarterbacks look good. The quarterback.
Well, that is true.
I'd make the argument. Hold on. I'd make the argument though that you have to have a quarterback that at least has the running ability to put your team in the best position possible. Hold on. DeAndre Hopkins quarterbacks outside of the scrubs that he's had in his career, because he had a lot of scrubs in Texas before he got to Deshaun Watson. He got Deshaun Watson and Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray, Deshaun Watson. Those are mobile quarterbacks. They needed time, and they could be able to create space and the separation and buy time to allow DeAndre Hopkins to get the separation necessary to make those plays. I'm not banking on that with Ryan Tannehill. I'm not listening to that Ryan Tannehill. So if DeAndre Hopkins needs to have a 3-stretch drop, if Ryan Tannehill has a 3-step drop and he got to get the ball out quickly, I'm believing that DeAndre Hopkins is going to be able to find separation in 7 minutes or seconds or less. Yeah, come on. Stop playing with me. I'm not banking on that. Are you crazy? At 31, are you crazy?
And that's why we have these segments recorded so our fans can hear this and we can go back to this.
And let me tell you something else. The fans, hold on. And let's be clear.
Who's excited for our week 5 recap? I can wait till week 5.
And hold on. And let's be clear. Hold on. Final statement from me. Let's be clear who the fans are listening to. They are listening to the brother on this podcast that said when it was Super Bowl prediction time last year, who's going to the Super Bowl? I said the Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles. And everyone on that pod except one person said I was crazy. So I don't want to tell the fans gonna listen to me because they know I spit facts. And DeAndre Hopkins not getting that separation.
With teams, maybe not with players. Apparently, with teams, maybe yes, not with players.
Okay. Let's check back in. When the Texans is 1-5 and DeAndre Hopkins got 200 yards.
The Titans will not be 1-5. Probably not.
All right, bro. You right, because they play in the AFC South. They gonna get a couple wins. You right. You right.
Oh.
This guy's roof. All right, you know what? We gotta bring it back. Kenji said you bring it back, but you couldn't bring it back because you guys are too entertaining. I'm glad the fans are listening to this. But yeah, all right, we're gonna bring it back to the topic. All right. So Kenji, I'm gonna start back with you. Is the running back market fair? And considering the signing so far, do you believe it's fair? Do you believe it's you don't
No,
really
they need
believe
to cut their checks. They need to cut these checks. Stop playing with Jonathan Taylor. He's been the Colts offense. What are you doing? You out here doing that shit, bro. He been your offense, bro. He paying you money. He been your offense. Pay that money. You feel me? Who else? Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs showed out in his contract year. He said, bro, I need my money. Come on, bro. Like, these people showing out, bro. You playing in my face. You playing in their faces. Now you playing with my money, and that's why it's getting disrespectful. Because you playing with my money and not respecting me. Like, I don't produce.
Gotcha.
Now they
he got hurt last year.
He still put up over 1,200 yards.
Who?
Josh Jacobs.
Oh, yeah. Josh Jacobs. My fault. I thought you said Jonathan Taylor. My fault.
He's still.
But even Jonathan Taylor, he's still, bro. He been their offense, bro. It's bound to happen when you the tired team offense. It's Derrick Henry.
Year, but even still, he had a susceptible good year too.
I mean, he had 1,200 yards. He had like 1,200 yards rushing. I'm saying Jonathan Taylor had like 900 yards, like rushing, 800 yards rushing, something like that. But I'm just saying that, like, I definitely hear you, but I'm not upset because I think Jonathan Taylor's situation is a little bit different than anything else that I'm seeing because, like, his contract ain't done. He wants the contract before he steps onto the field for his last year. Whereas, like, if I'm the Colts, I'm not upset with them that they want to see one more year of production before they make a final decision.
One more year of production.
No. Had he balled out last year, he would have more of a point as opposed to had he balled out last year, he would have more of a leg to stand on. But when I last seen you, you had an ankle injury that you could not figure out. And you gone into the offseason and you still have a lingering ankle injury that was plaguing you from last season. And I'm supposed to hand you money?
Hold on. I mean, he with the team, so isn't that the medical staff's part too?
I understand that, but you're saying if that's the medical staff's fault too. But at the end of the day, the medical staff can only do so much. People's bones and ligaments, and they all heal at different times. We all know the brother that got 40-year-old niece. He's 17. We all know the brother that's 80 years old. He got 17-year-old knees. So at the end of the day, I can only do so much as a medical staff. If you're not healing the way I need you to heal, there's a problem.
But what are you doing for me to heal, though? Are you giving me the right treatment to my body?
So go ahead, brother.
But look,
and after you go, and Greg goes, I'm gonna just read the Johnny.
Okay, you want to talk about stats and what he's done so far? His rookie year. 1,100, over 1,100 yards, 11 touchdowns. His second year, bro, he had over 1,800 yards and 18 touchdowns, bro.
You're preaching to the choir, bro. I remember his stats very well. He's had a very impressive career so far. But I'm saying for a position as fragile as a running back position, you have to be almost rock solid in terms of health, in terms of production on the field. And the moment that you look like the moment you go from looking like Iron Man to looking like a regular man, because you can't stay on the field, people are going to be a little bit more hesitant to spend that bread. Like, that's all I'm telling you. I know how good Jonathan Taylor is. You don't got to give me the numbers, but I'm telling you.
But listen, you saying you want him to stay healthy. You want him to stay healthy. You got what about his attempts?
The money not going to make him healthy. So he got to show me what are you talking about? Like, you got to pay the man. You want him to stay healthy. He's not going to be healthy if I give him he's not going to be more healthy if I give them the bread. So why not wait for me to see what he does this year?
Does it, bro? Bro, you already working him like that. His first year had 232 carries. His next year he went to literally 332.
Bro, if this is a question about whether running backs deserve better than what they're getting, I'm not here to argue with you. But I'm telling you, in terms of the lens of a GM, like it makes sense.
How
At
much
least
more does he need to show, bro? He had
listen,
2 years where he was over
Derrick
1,000
Henry.
yards.
Derrick Henry has had probably the best career of a running back in terms of consistency that I've seen, and they struggle to
Durability.
give that in terms of durability, and they struggle in production, and they struggle to give that man a second contract. When I seen that in terms of him having struggling to make bread, everything else doesn't matter to me. Like Jonathan Taylor has had good years. They don't pale in comparison to Derrick Henry years. And still he was struggling to get his bread. So you think a brother that got hurt and didn't cross 1,000 yards last year is going to be in a better position than Derrick Henry? Come on, bro. What are we doing? What are we talking about? We already know this is messed up, but that's the way it is.
Kendrick, get the last response before you swing it to John. You end it off.
Go ahead, swing it to Johnny.
You don't have nothing else to say?
Because I got to look something up real quick. So.
Okay, all right. Listen, Johnny, we're going to end it off with you and swing it back to Kendrick so we can get his final take. Johnny, do you believe the running back market is fair or unfair? Why or why not?
Let me see. Honestly, it's unfair, and this is gonna sound, I'm not siding with what Greg is saying, but I'm siding with the concept of what he's talking about as far as if I'm a GM. Okay. It's a cold business, this NFL that we watch, the players that play in it, us that analyze it. It's a cold business, right? And at the end of the day, that type of position is a revolving door. And it's so replaceable that I don't think the pay rate is ever going to be to what running backs deserve. I think Christian McCaffrey signed the biggest contract for a running back, technically, and that's still called people are still calling that criminal robbery. It's just looking bad, and it looks like it's getting worse. Matt Miller, ready for this, y'all? Matt Miller, he's an NFL draft scout. He tweeted, Derrick Henry retweeted his tweet earlier. He said, I've been, and I quote, been saying it for years. Draft a running back. Play the running back. If he's good, franchise tag the running back one time, and then repeat the process. Draft a running back. Play the running back. If he's good, you tag him, you drop him, you get another one. Because that position is so much of a revolving door for some reason. The politics are just going to always supersede the actual reality that these guys need to be paid. They're just going to keep pounding you into the dirt, and they're just going to ship you off, and they're going to move into the next one. I believe what did Jonathan Taylor? What was one of his most recent tweets? If you're good enough, they'll find you. If you work hard, you'll succeed. And then if you succeed, you boost the organization. And then when you boost the organization, it doesn't matter. You're a running back. These are two. The cat's out the bag now, guys. The cat's has been out the bag ever since the 90s, honestly. Ever since from the Emmitt Smiths all the way up to the darn Christian McCaffreys, like to the update to the Derrick Henrys, to the CJ2Ks, the Priest Holmes, any running back you can name that stood out in the NFL, have they gotten justified pay? And we finally no, they haven't, but we just never figured out why. So my answer to this is, unfortunately, I do not believe that the running back market will change. But at least now we know why.
So you believe it's unfair, and we know. Okay. All right. Gotcha. All
Okay.
Right. Kendrick, Greg, what you got?
Listen, I gotta end this off. Listen, I'm gonna end this off. I gotta swing back to Greg about him bringing up about Derrick Henry and getting his contract and stuff, right? I'm gonna tell you why Derrick Henry had a little tough time getting his contract said than a Jonathan Taylor.
Preach.
First of all, I'll say this. Why? Let's just go based on let's go look at their first 3 years. Both of them. All right, their first 3 years in the league. I understand it was years apart. Derrick Henry's first year in the league was 2016. You know how many yards he had? He had 490.
See.
Oh wait.
See, my brother. I don't even need you to finish this. I already have the answer for it. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna let you get this off your chest because you did the research. Go ahead.
And then Greg, you'll end it off. No more.
Yep.
2017. Yes, 744. He didn't reach 1,000 yards into his third year, and then he went on a streak of 3 straight years of over 1,000 yards with a 2,000-yard season, and then in 2021 he was under 1,000 yards, and then he jumped back up to over 1,000 yards. But you're telling me that he had a hard time getting his money. Obviously, if he ain't really shown nothing until his third year versus Jonathan Taylor showing stuff in his first 2 years and then dipping off slightly because of some injuries to 800 yards, and he doesn't deserve a contract is ridiculous to me.
All right, Greg, finish it off. Take this one.
You ready?
Take
You
this
got
one.
everything you wanted to say? Because I can literally tell you it's as simple as the running back market and the collective bargaining agreement that was in place at the time that Derrick Henry was coming up in the league is different from the collective bargaining agreement and the running back market that is in existence today. In 2016, 2017, 2018, you had brothers like Todd Gurley getting contracts. You had brothers like Zeke Elliott getting contracts. You had brothers like I'm blanking on. There was somebody else that got a huge contract and then just didn't live up to expectations. Once he got the money. You can say CJ2K, but like there was somebody else within that time frame that got a big deal and like kind of just didn't do anything with it. But all I'm making the argument is to say that you gave these running backs big money contracts, right, for a sensitive market that already existed already, and they underperformed. On top of that, the collective bargaining agreement already changed. That made it a little bit unfavorable because if this franchise tag issue was really an issue, they could have addressed it during the last collective bargaining agreement so that, hey, for running back, to make it more of a point that we want running backs to either switch up how much they need to get paid as a running back for the franchise tag or switch up how much they're making or whether they can get a franchise tag or not. And now the next collective bargaining agreement the collective bargaining agreement isn't over until 2030. So you're stuck in and you're locked into whatever the agreements are for that 10-year duration. So at the end of the day, the market and what we were offering running backs at the time is different from now. Now it's crumbs. Before, even in 2016, 2017, it was a little bit better than what it is right now. So even production doesn't matter as much as it did before. That's all I got to say for you. And with that, RZP podcast. So our loyal listeners, that is how you end the debate. God bless. Good night, America.
Week 5, we're tapping back in, and we're going to see how many yards DeAndre Hopkins has.
Oh yeah, Greg, you got to be back on this one, man. I'm gonna make
cool.
sure you note that on your calendar. Let it be on a Thursday. I already marked that down.
That's
I got to
cool.
see this. So
can I ask a question? At what point is there no such thing as like, let's just say DeAndre Hopkins has like empty calorie numbers because like Ryan Tannehill is just passing the ball. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like there are realistic ways where it's just like Ryan Tannehill is just force feeding this brother the ball because like, you know what I mean? Like
let's put an over under on it. Put an over under on it. Put an over under on it.
Don't create no insurance now.
You pick
Don't
it.
be creating insurance.
Wow.
Okay.
No, I'll let him pick it. Go ahead, pick it.
All right. Through week 5. Hold on. Through week 5, if DeAndre Hopkins has over 350 yards, I don't know. What do you want the bet to be? I don't know.
Yeah, what would you?
I mean, it's just about who's right or wrong. That's what it really is about.
Yeah,
all right, fine.
It's just about
bragging
whose
rights.
point is right. Whose point is right. That's all.
Bragging rights. 350 yards through week 5.
Fine. That's 3 games. That's 3 games with 300 yards, and then you can cover the rest.
Yeah.
Okay.
With Tannehill as the quarterback. Yep.
See, he said that too casually for me.
That's fine.
Yeah, if I was you, I would say with Ryan Tannehill as my quarterback.
Now, if he gets 349 or 345 or 340, I don't want to hear it. I'm still arguing.
Okay, bro. Okay, bro. So what's the cutoff?
We'll give a 10 yard grace period.
What's the cutoff?
10 yard grace period.
Fine.
10
You want a grace period?
You want a
grace period? I'll give you a grace period. Go ahead.
All right, you guys. Okay, that's the bet. Bragging rights. Oh, I can't wait. Week 5. Listen, mark it for your
Zoinks.
calendars. It will
Get
be
a
on
load
a
of this, America.
Thursday, 8:30. All right, with that
Not
being
get a load
said,
of this, America.
so yeah, you know what? But check us out, America, and definitely out that ends episode 125 of the Straight Zone podcast. Shout out to Kendrick, Greg, and Johnny coming in, making his way because he wants to be on this so bad. Appreciate you guys, man. Hopefully the fans enjoyed this episode as much as we enjoyed recording this episode. And you can follow us on all streaming platforms. I'm talking about Apple, Spotify. You can follow us on Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, you name it. We're there. Check us out. We're free. Don't got to pay a dime. You can also check us out on YouTube. You get to see, how the guys really are, how animated we are on YouTube. Subscribe, leave a like, comment, give us your feedback, criticism, good or bad. We want to hear it all. We appreciate the support. We've definitely been checking the streams. I know you guys are checking out the older episodes. Definitely, man. Shout out to you guys for doing that. Appreciate it. I'm seeing the love and support. We're definitely going to be way more consistent. Football season is here. September 7th, the official season. Basketball season is around the corner, starting November. College, a lot of things are starting, man. So we're going to be out here a lot. You're going to see us a lot. So be on the tune. Can't wait to see you guys next episode. Kendrick, Greg, Johnny, love you guys. Appreciate the episode. Hopefully everyone has a great night. Say bye, everybody. Peace.
Leave, you so crazy.